Hello guys, in this video let's actually try to build an application called as Xylophone. Okay, so you might be wondering what Xylophone is, or some might know what a Xylophone is. So in this case, Xylophone application is an application which may be a single screen application which has few buttons into it, and when we tap on those buttons some musical notes will be playing or some music will be playing. So that's basically what we are going to build today. So as usual, let's start with a new Flutter project. Okay, and Flutter application, selecting that, I'm going to name it as Xylophone. Yeah, Xylophone. Okay, I'm going to give the path to Flutter SDK. Then I want the name to be Xylophone. Okay, I should create some new folder, and I'm going to give the name as Xylophone. Then I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to select next, and finally finish. So the thing is, we'll be today utilizing some packages which has been already developed and available on Flutter package directory in this application, and yes, we'll be utilizing that to play the audio files without writing the code from scratch. Okay, so I'll be talking about that in detail after some time, that is after some time. Yeah, so now my project is loading up, so let's wait till this project loads up completely. As usual, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this particular code from my project, and I'm going to let's remove that particular code, and I'm going to create a stateful widget right now. Okay, so I'm going to create a stateful widget. Okay, some line, and then stateful stful. So I'll wait till my system recognizes that. Yeah, so stateful. So I'm going to name it as my app itself. Then what I'm going to do is so now we have this particular thing. So in the start itself, let's actually add the music notes, that is to the assets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this particular portion, and I'm going to create a new directory called as assets. Okay, asset directory, and I'm going to name it as assets. Okay, then in that assets, what I'm going to do is I have some audio files over here. Okay, there's 7 files over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these 7 files into my assets. So yes, I'm clicking on OK, and let's close this window, going back here. So now you might know what we have to do next. Let's go to the pubspec.yaml file, then under where this part we can add assets. So I'm going to copy that under that, and it's 2 tab spaces over there. So now I'm going to just put it something like this, because we have this directory name as assets itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mention it as assets itself. So as I mentioned in the previous lessons, like if you put a forward slash instead of mentioning all the names, it can easily access all these 7 files within this. Okay, or else we will have to type something like assets/node1.wave node2 and similar stuffs. So in order to avoid that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just keep it this way so that it can identify all the files inside that. So as usual, something came up over here, packages get. So let's click on that to add this to our project. So once we click on that, the things will start running in the project. Okay, yes. So this process finished with an exit code 0, that is there's no error for the time being. Okay, so let's come back to main.dart file. So one more thing which we can do right away is I talked about the packages, right? So what I'm going to do is what do I do? I'm going to open this browser over here and let's search for Flutter Packages. Okay, Flutter Packages. So once it loads up, we can open the first link itself, which leads us to the Dart packages, that is pub.tab. So we want a package to play an audio file, right? So let's search for something like play audio file. Okay, I'm going to search that, and now you can see a lot of results over there. So these are packages that are uploaded by some people, like for example this was put forward by this particular what do I say, publisher, then this by this one, and similar stuffs. So this is actually the name of each of these packages if you are going to use it. So let's just look at one of them, audio picker. So it actually says as this plugin helps open a picker to get absolute path. So we don't actually need that. We need something to maybe something like an audio player for Flutter. Okay, that's maybe we can go with that. Okay, let's read through them, and for example in this case it mentions some details about this. It says that it's available for Android, iOS and web. Then here some more details are given, then the uploader details is given over here. So another thing is, once we search for something over here, it shows a score, that is the relevance score over here. Okay, so let's check which one has the highest relevance. Okay, so as you can see over here, this one by fastlime.xyz has 99 relevance. Okay, so let's take that. So it mentions that a Flutter plugin to play multiple simultaneously audio files, works for Android, iOS and macOS. So it seems like that's what we want. Okay, because we want to play audio files simultaneously because it's a musical instrument app, so we need to play files simultaneously. So let's maybe go with this. Okay, so in order to add this package to our project, what we have to do is first go to this installing option, and here you can see that it says that we have to add this particular dependency to our pubspec.yaml file. Okay, so what you have to do is copy this thing including the space over here, then go back to the Android Studio project, then open the pubspec.yaml file again, and under dependencies we can add that particular line of code. Okay, so we added audio player and this is the version number. Okay, so if we just remove this version number and kept it like this, then it will automatically fetch the latest one every time. But for the time being, let's go with this particular version. Okay, so after adding this particular line, what we had to do is we had to again run this packages get option. Okay, so once it once it runs, it usually takes some 5 to 10 seconds for this process to finish. So let's wait. Okay, it's saying that running Flutter pub get in Xylophone, that is this project. So it says that the process finished with exit code 0, that is there's no error for the time being. Okay, so let's close this and come back to the main.dart file. Also let's go through this again. So this is the Flutter pub get command. Okay, this is what we did earlier, that is the click on that get dependencies button and finally import it. So it says that now in your Dart code you can use this particular line. So we have to use this particular line in order to use this package. Okay, that is to import that particular audio players .dart dependency or that package into our main.dart. So I'm going to copy this line of code. I'm going back to Android Studio and towards here I'm going to paste it. So similar is the case with this one, because material packages, all the material packages is available only if we import them. Okay, I think I forgot to mention that in the previous lessons. So now this thing appears to be grayish because we haven't used that particular thing here. Okay, so maybe let's try running this application before proceeding any further. Okay, so I'm going to close that. So let's try to run this application. So I have my emulator up and running, so I'm going to select the mobile, so I'm going to run it. Okay, so let's wait till it gets installed into my emulator. So as you can see over here, there's nothing showing up here because it's just a container and nothing has been mentioned over here, right? So what I'm going to do is remove that container from there, and I'm going with a material app. Okay, material app, that I'm going to call this home, then calling this scaffold. Then inside the scaffold, what I'm going to do is we need the what body, we need a body to be having a column. Okay, so why I'm adding a column is because we need to initialize column so that we can add those what do I say, that particular keys for playing the music as a column list of things. Okay, so inside column I'm going to call something like a flat button, maybe, yeah, first children. Inside that, maybe we can add something like flat button. So flat button is similar to any other button, but it kind of appears like flat with on press feature enabled. So inside that flat button, what I'm going to do is, let's go with a child is a container, wait a minute, container with a child having text field value of 1, and having a text style of size having 25 or maybe 30 for the time being, with a color of white. Okay, yes. Okay, so and let's provide a color for this container to color equal to colors dot maybe deep purple. Yeah, let's try running this. Hot reload won't work in this case because we are doing a stateless widget over here. Okay, so let's wait to check what happens. Okay, so as you can see over here, something appeared over here. Okay, so let's deal with the UI later on. So outside the Flutter, we need to define this on press feature. So this handles what need to be done when we press on that button. So it starts with say parenthesis and closes it, then opens a curly braces. Inside this we have to write that code. Okay, so I'm going to write like, let's initialize a player, because this is an audio player, and final audio player is equal to, let's tell something like what do I say sorry, an audio cache. Okay, so that's to what do we say, we are adding this audio cache because we are accessing it from the memory and to do something like storing it. Okay, so let's end it with a semicolon, then we can call the player to play some file. So inside single quotes, what I'm going to give is the file name, that is for this button, let it play note1.wav. we don't have to provide what do I say, this asset slash note1.wav, because we are not like, what do I say, it there's only one folder called as assets, and we are calling it directly from the assets. Okay, so that's the reason. So the thing is, now when I run this, wait a minute, let me try running this. Okay, before that, while doing this, you may be having an error in this audio cache case. So what you have to do is add this particular line in this, that is package, that is audio cache dot package. So add this and that error will be gone. So I'm going to restart this application and let's wait till this application loads up. So it kind of loaded, so let me try tapping that. So whenever I am tapping on that, this music is playing. Actually, I think you won't be able to hear that because I stopped this particular music. Okay, I stopped recording this system audio. So let's yeah, that's regarding adding the first button. Okay, so let's continue to add the second and third button and fourth and fifth and sixth and seventh button. Okay, so yes, so you may be hearing this sound right now. Okay, I don't know. So in order to make the other buttons, what I'm going to do is we know that this is a column and this can have many children. So I'm going to select this flat button and copying that, and then coming outside of that particular flat button, I'm going to paste it 6 more times. Okay, that is 3 4 5 sixth one and finally the seventh one. So let's edit this 7, then comes 6, then comes 5, after 5 comes 4, then comes 3 and finally 2. So even though after changing that, we need to change this particular node 1 also, because it should be node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4 similar way, or else the same sound will be heard in each and every button. Okay, so let's go with 3, then comes 4, then comes our fifth one, then comes, oh okay, it shouldn't be like that. Oh yeah, correct, it's correct. Okay, node 5, then comes our node 6, then comes finally our node 7. Okay, so I'm just going to restart this application again, and let's check whether these things are coming up. So also there's one more thing which I want to do. I would like to change the colors of each and every one. So as you can see, this game, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the colors to, okay, so let it be violet. Here let's go with blue. Okay, green, yellow, let's go with orange, finally let's go with red, and one more thing we need, which one should we go with? And finally we need one more, maybe should we go with the teal? Yeah, maybe teal. So again I'll restart this application. So yes, I think that's okay now. So what we have to do right now is we have to expand this, right? So what I'm going to expand this is I'm going to add like wrap each flat button with something called as expanded. Okay, a widget called as expanded. So let's look at what this expanded widget do. Okay, so I added this to the first one. I'm going to restart this application and let's check what happens over there. So what happened over here, it actually expanded. So what if I add expanded to everything? So I'm going to wrap wait a minute, wrap I want to wrap this one with where is it, expanded, then comes this one with expanded, then comes this one, okay, now this thing is not responding. I don't know what happened. Okay, yes, expanded, and then the final one, expanded. Where is it? Expanded. So let's try restarting this application. Okay, now it's okay. Now I think you can hear these sounds, right? So there's one more thing which I'm going to do. Where's our column? And here what I'm going to do is I'm going for something called as cross axis alignment dot stretch. Let's restart this application to check what happens. Okay, now that's stretched. Wait a minute. Expanded. I'm going to give a color. Is it possible? No. So I'm going to add a color, maybe a red, just for trial. So let's check what happens. Okay, so maybe I was saying something like this. Instead of changing that container, we can go with this flat button. We can change the color of all the flat buttons to flat buttons instead of changing that of containers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these colors from each container, and I'm going to paste it inside this flat button. Okay, let's try that. Cutting that and pasting over there, and where is it? Cutting that and pasting there, then cutting this. So let's move to our fifth one now, then towards our second last one. This is the red one which we intended for earlier, and our final one, our tail. Cutting that, and now let's try to restart this application again to see the changes. Okay, now it looks quite good, right? Like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So this was what which I wanted to like, what do I say, show you. So this Xylophone application. So so as you can see, if you want, you can remove this text from here. Just, what do I say, keep this colors, just the colors, so that we can play with this tones. Okay, so so as you can see over here, this is actually around 108 lines of code. But the thing is, by some adjustment, like calling what do I say, calling this thing called as functions, instead of writing all this code, we can write simple functions and make this code little bit less, okay, maybe relatively less. And though the functions remain the same, but the number of lines of code will be less. But for the time being, let's stick on with this, because writing function requires in like a little bit knowledge, in-depth knowledge about dart functions. Okay, so we'll be covering that maybe in later phase. Okay, so yes, so if you want to try out something, you can also try out. Okay, so you can change the colors. If you want, you can download any other like music files, audio files in this format, okay, .wav format, and you can add them. If you want, you can add many more buttons and add more songs, like more audio files. Don't get me wrong by saying songs. So you can add more audio files. Okay, so final view. Before closing this, let me remove that what do I say, debug banner. So yes, now this looks perfect, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. What happened over? No, nothing. So whenever you tap on anywhere over these buttons, it gets detected, because what we did was we extended this flat button. Okay, we created a flat button, and inside that we placed this container having this one as what do I say, input. So even like something like what do I say, we can change this if we want. Maybe let's try this thing. I don't remember whether that will work or not. Let me try changing this container, and let's try to restart this application to check whether this one works or not. Okay, um, maybe yes, that works. So yes, if you want you can keep that, or else you can remove that. So for the time being I'm just keeping that, because it tells us this is number 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7. Okay, so that's it. So that's it for this part. So we'll discuss about something more interesting in our upcoming lessons. Okay.